Hello and welcome to the Music Today podcast with me, Connor McElroy.
Me, Tim Raybold.
And me, Jacob Clark.
In this edition of the podcast, we will be talking to three industry professionals, talking to them about their experiences within the industry. We will be talking to Des Sherwood, a guitarist from Hales Owen, who has just recorded a guitar solo album in his own home. We have an interview with Tom Peel coming up, the owner of Northside Studios, and he will be discussing crowdfunded studios and options that people have coming into the industry and why crowdfunding is a good idea. Thirdly, we have Tristan Bedlow, who's going to be talking about his studio and the kind of rates and the kind of things that you can expect from a studio atmosphere. Now then, we will be moving on to our first interview. Our first interview is with Des Sherwood, and this interview is all about home recording.
Des recorded the whole of his album entitled The Music Room at home, so here's that interview now. Could you give us a rough estimate of the setup cost of the home recording that you've done?
Well, that depends on the sort of software you get, I suppose.
Yeah.
Software can be quite expensive. But the main thing I used was a Pod HD kidney bean amp simulator to record all the guitars and the basses, and the acoustics went through there as well, and that cost me 330 something pounds. And the rest is just software.
Okay, so would you say you used a lot of plugins as well as that?
400.
Wow.
No, I didn't use them all, but there was a couple of favourite plugins that I'd use.
Yeah.
They kind of helped glue certain parts into the mix, but at the same time made them stand out as well.
Yeah.
So some plugins are really useful for me.
So what was the software you actually used for your main recording?
I used Sonar X1, I think. I've got X3 now, but it was Sonar, Cakewalk Sonar.
Okay. Did you do any crowdfunding to fund the album?
No, my mate helped me out there. No, I was doing it all on my own, and then I sent some tracks to a friend of mine, and he had so much faith in it. He came round with a bottle of wine and some crisps, and said he wanted to help me, and that he'd give me any money I needed to help with mastering and getting physical CDs done, things like that. So the mastering was done by Silent Underground Studios, place in Australia.
Oh, brilliant.
And that was just, you just send the WAV over the internet. He'd do a mastering version, send it you back as an MP3, see if you like it or not, and then when you agree on it, he sends you back as a WAV. And it's good value for money as well, very good to work with.
Oh, nice.
Daniel Waldman.
A recommendation.
Mm.
How many problems did you run into, if any, when you recorded the album?
None.
None. None at all.
Excuse me. Bit of writer's block on about 2 occasions.
Yeah.
Apart from that, it just went really smoothly. It took 2 years, but it went really smoothly.
Yeah. What did you gain from the experience of recording it?
Satisfaction. Not a lot of money, but that's not why I did it. I didn't really intend to do an album, it just sort of happened.
Yeah.
So the intention wasn't to, write and record an album to make some money. The album just sort of came out of me, so I listen back to the songs, and that's the best thing about it, is to listen back and to feel proud of what I've done.
Well, I already know the answer to this question, but would you home record again?
I am at the moment, yes.
Yeah.
Starting the second album, definitely,
Nice.
yeah.
So how would you start on these songs for the albums? Would you just start from an idea and then you'd build on that?
I had a strange way of doing it, actually. I'd get an idea in a lesson or something and record it on my phone, and then say it might be a verse for a song, and then instead of writing the song and then recording it, I'd actually record the verse and then come up with the next bit and record that. So by the time it's finished, you've got bits of, like, the first part of the song was recorded a month beforehand, before I'd even got the chorus. So I kind of built it up as I went along.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'd have to re-record entire lines, because I'd come up with a melody, for example, and then record it straight away before getting used to it, before getting to know it properly. So then have to go back and think, well, that's not quite phrased as well as it could be. So then I'd re-record bits.
Yeah. I suppose doing home recording gives you that flexibility to just record whenever you need to.
It's once you've got all the software and everything, it's free. Your time's your own.
Yeah.
So you're not paying £300 a day or whatever to go into a studio, and then you're under pressure, and then you can sort of record things that you're not that keen on and have to live with it because you haven't got time to keep re-recording it. I mean, one instance I spent an hour recording one note. It was at the end of a solo. I thought I can get that note better, so I spent an hour trying to get it just right. And you couldn't do that if you're paying like £30 an hour in the studio. 30 quid for one note, that's not really worth it, is it?
No. Well, that answers the next question. Do you prefer home recording over going to a studio?
In some ways I do, in some ways I don't. I like going into a proper studio.
Yeah.
I like the whole sort of vibe and the creative process, and working with others is good in some ways, but I did all this on my own in my living room. But the main advantage is low cost, because you've got all the time you want to do it exactly the way you want, and you haven't got an engineer to battle with.
No.
They say, can you turn my solo up? And they go, no. I say to myself, Des, turn your solo up, and I go, okay. So there's a lot of good things about home recording, and there's a lot of good things about being in studio as well, because you've got professional engineers there who know what they're doing, whereas when I started this I hadn't got a clue. So I had to learn as I went along, and that's why I didn't master it myself, because it's just too much to learn.
Yeah.
I'd rather pay Daniel to do it.
Yeah. So would you say it was a big learning curve?
Massively,
recording?
Yeah. Spent a lot of time on YouTube learning learning about EQ and how to use the software, learning about buses and things like that.
We've probably already covered most of this point, but what do you believe the advantages of home recording are over going to a studio?
Well, like I say, it's just it's cheap. You've got all the time in the world, really.
Yeah.
So that's the advantage, really.
It's just the initial setup cost of the softwares and the hardwares.
Yeah. Of course, once that's done, apart from electricity, it's free. It's just, it's your time then, isn't it? And then you can put as much time as you feel you need to into doing whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Did you find it difficult to motivate yourself to record when you went into recording a song?
Occasionally, yes. I wanted to do at least something every night.
Yeah.
So, I might fall asleep on the settee and wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning feeling really tired and not creative at all. And I'm thinking, I don't want to do any tonight, but I've got to. So I'd think, all right, well, let's just re-record that bit of bass line that needs doing. I don't have to create anything because that's already written. I just need to physically redo that bit. So I'd force myself to do that, and then I'd start to wake up and get into it, and before you know it, 5 hours have gone by and I've done loads more recording. And so I'd always make myself start a session, even if I didn't feel like it, because I know I'd end up enjoying it and getting on with it and getting a lot done.
Yeah. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice about recording at home or writing even, what would you give yourself?
I don't know. It's a difficult one. I don't think, because it went so well and I learnt as I went, there's nothing I've learnt since that I could go back and say, do it this way. It is an odd way of writing and recording as you go.
Yeah.
Because most people have a song written
Yeah.
and then they record it, but that's just how I did it on that one. But no, I can't really think of anything, to be honest.
What would you say your favourite track of the album is to play?
To listen to, or actually play on the guitar?
Let's say both.
I can't remember a lot of the parts. I can't remember a lot of the songs because I'd write them as I'd go.
Yeah.
So, say the second song that I wrote, by the time I'd finished the album, it had been nearly 2 years since I'd played any of that, because I'd write one song, finish it, go on to a next, and then write it as I went, go on to another one. So obviously by the time it was done, looking back at the first couple of songs, it had been almost 2 years since I'd even thought about the parts. And if I'd come up with a chorus or a lead line on that night and recorded it, I only had one night playing that bit of music. So it's very difficult to remember back 2 years to think what you did once on one specific night.
Yeah. So what would you say your favourite is to listen to off the album?
Oh, sorry about that. Moss. I like The Last Kiss. It's probably the best thing I've written.
Yeah.
Bob the Builder I've got a soft spot for as well.
Yeah.
Always will.
So the name Bob the Builder came from a student, didn't it?
Yes. He was a builder and his name was Robert. And he was practising some chords. He wasn't trying to write anything, he just played 3 chords in a row. And I thought, oh, I like that. So I put some extra notes in. And an extra chord at the end. And wrote a song around that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to give him some credit, so I'd recorded about half of this song and I said, come and have a listen to this. This is, remember those chords you played last week? This is the result of that. And he was, he was really impressed and he was quite pleased that something had come of something that he'd done. And then I'd finished the arrangement and I let him have a listen to that. And he was like, oh, great, yeah, could you send me an email with that in? I was like, yeah, okay. So I sent him an email. 2 weeks later he turns up saying, oh, yeah, I've put your song I burnt it onto CDs and I sold it down the pub to my mates. My unfinished work. He's been selling it down the pub to his friends and I told him that he shouldn't really be doing that. He had no idea he'd done anything wrong.
No.
So yeah, that's Bob the Builder.
Ah, right. So what was the first song you started recording on?
Franabel.
Yeah.
And that was when I went to check out the Pod HD in the guitar shop in Birmingham. And I was just having a look through some settings and found this setting that had got harmonised 6th, which I'd never used before. And this melody sort of came up, which I remembered. And I bought the pod, went straight back home, found that setting and started. I thought, well, I've got a song here. So then I started recording that song and then that became a song. Then Bob played his 3 chords, so I wrote a song around that. And it just kept going.
Oh, okay.
So it's Franabel that started it.
Yeah. So really the pod kind of inspired you to actually get into recording the album?
Yeah, I'd say I had no intention of recording an album. I bought that thing and just through that one patch started the album.
Oh well. If given the opportunity to work with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
Probably Kevin DeBro from Quite Right.
Okay. Why would that be?
Well, I got to know him a few years back. He was really good to me and he was the coolest guy.
Yeah.
But he would just been a really good producer because the way he thought about music and in such detail. And I was doing an audition CD for Glenn Hughes because Kevin put me onto that, and I sent him a copy and he was like, and I was really pleased with it. And he came back and he was like, no, it's not good enough, it's not this. And I was, at first I was like, oh God, what are you on about? But when he explained it, I thought, oh my God, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So he'd have been really good to work with because the way he could hear and see things that I had no idea about.
Yeah.
So it'd have been nice to work with him. But unfortunately he passed away in 2008, I think it was.
Oh no.
Just before I was supposed to join them on a UK tour.
Yeah.
He asked me to play guitar for him for Quite Right on the UK tour in January, and he died in October.
Oh.
But yeah, sorely missed.
Yeah.
Good guy.
So would you say in this industry, would it be who you know, not what you know?
Yes. Because when I finished the album, I was done in. I'd had to do it all myself. I'd had to learn how to do everything myself. And then by the time we came to release it, I then realised I'd got to do all the promotion myself as well. So I'd got a publisher interested. He'd been interested for about a year. He knew it was an instrumental album. I'd sent him the songs and he said, right, well, when you're done, send me the songs finished and we'll talk. So I sent him all the songs and then he said, well, because it's a guitar instrumental, I don't think I can really help you. So I was like, oh, great. Thanks, you could have told me that a year ago. I've been waiting for your help for a year and now I feel like I'm all alone again.
Yeah.
So promoting it was very difficult and I'd just run out of steam, to be honest.
Yeah.
So if you know people in the industry are willing to help or put a word in for you, it's a lot easier than just going cold to somebody that never heard of you.
Yeah.
So I tried to get a review in guitar magazines, but they'd never heard of me. And I was doing it myself.
Yeah.
But I heard nothing from them. But if a publisher who'd got a connection with the guitar magazine said, "Oh, I've got this really good guitar album, have a listen to this," then the chances of it being known about would be a lot higher than me trying to do it myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm not an engineer. I'm not a publicist. I've had to learn to be an engineer, but I can't. I'm a guitarist. That's it, really. I don't know how to promote things and do all that.
So would you say it was tough getting the album out there, say, for physical copies and online? 'Cause you're on iTunes and Amazon, aren't you?
Yeah, and Spotify now.
Oh, brilliant.
Getting the CDs done was easy enough. It's just the problem is making people aware of it.
Yeah.
In promotion, that's the problem. So I think it's a really good guitar album, and it's not your typical "look how fast I can play" type thing.
No.
There's plenty of them. Don't need me to try and do something like that. Not as good as everyone else, because it's not my bag. So it's more about music. It's more about songs and melody and emotions and things like that, just played on the guitar.
Yeah.
It's just getting it out there is the real problem for me.
Yeah. Would you say it'd be easy for your next album now you've had experience for the first time?
No.
No.
Because, like I said, I was burnt out, and I didn't really do as much as I probably could have to promote it. And obviously I didn't learn that much from doing it, because I didn't really do a lot. So I've got no advice for myself when the next one comes out. I'm just hoping somebody's going to come on board who's got a few connections that might be able to just make people aware of it.
Yeah. So that's been Des Sherwood, and his album is The Music Room, and we're going to be playing a track off there called The Last Kiss.